I'm happy of you to rub it in like that. Yes. Good morning.
Yeah.
Once again, good morning. And we are now live on K105. We're also live on GBN TV or different platforms. I want to say good morning to our listening and viewing audience. And once again, it's Chriselle from the Greener Development Bank. And of course, we come in every week. She pops in and share loads of information about the different services that the GDB offer. And let me let Chriselle to, of course, kick in this morning with the direction we're going to go at, and we see how we inform the viewers and listeners probably this morning. She's smiling.
Right. Well, allow me to say good morning to listeners and viewers and people who are signed in on social media, because I think we're on Facebook and YouTube also, yeah? So good morning. And I think this morning, Glenn, I would like us to touch on the security options that are available when you're applying for a loan. Because what I realized, and I suppose many bankers, they've realized that the word security, it comes across like a bad word. Some people hear it and all of a sudden there is a wall that's put up. And for some reason, they think, not me, I have no security, I can't afford this, I can't afford to do this, I can't apply for the loan, I'm not going to be approved for the loan because I have no security. And sometimes that may be true, but sometimes, again, it may be far from the truth. So I thought that I can highlight some of the security options available that you can use for standing security for your loan.
Yes. No. When you say security, as you mentioned, folks get a little bit ticklish when they hear the word security, and they start thinking, well, security, but I may have that. And some may have a knowledge of it. Someone may have knowledge what security means. Of course, everyone who may want to go to that level of coming to the bank and stuff may have a knowledge of what security means. Now, what would you say the bank would like to tell folks when it comes to security? What is really what the bank is looking for from individuals when it comes to security?
So maybe we'll start off with what is security and why security. So the word security, I think it may speak for itself. Another word that is used for security from the banking standpoint is collateral. Yes. So collateral or security, it is a safety net, could be a very good word that is understood by everybody. It safeguards the loan, it safeguards you as the applicant, it safeguards the bank as an institution. And how does it do that? And I'm going to explain that by way of example. So let us suppose, Glenn, that you would like a mortgage loan. The loan that you would like to use that to build your house. So we'll ask you for security for that. The land that you would like that house to be erected on doesn't belong to you. But you came in, you asked for a mortgage loan, you were approved for a mortgage loan to erect a house on a plot of land that you do not own. You didn't provide any security. You didn't provide any documents that said that the person allowed you to build the land and the house, and that's the house and the land, and that is the owner of the land I'm speaking of. So you build that house cost $200 and probably $50,000, 2-bedroom, nice looking house. And the house is completed 6 months later. You've lived in the house for a year. And remember, a house is a lifetime achievement. This is where you are going to live for the rest of your life. This is probably the most money you will spend for your entire life, is to purchase a house or build a house. And you've lived there for a year, and then the person who owns the land, they came from wherever they may have been, or they probably just learned of what happened and they decided, that can't happen. I do not want the house on that land. They decided that you need to move. What happens, Glenn?
Well, it's only obvious.
This is your pop quiz this week.
Well, I would say the individual who owns the land pops in, they decide, well, you have to get off my property. You understand? What will I do? Well, first and foremost, I may have to come back to UD Bank, if I would say that, explain my situation. Is that the proper steps I should go at?
Well, you're going to explain, but what can you do? Because do remember the land, you do not own the land, and we did not ask for that information. You did not provide any security when you came in for the loan.
It's only obvious
So
I'm
now
at a
you are
loss. I would be at a loss.
You are at a loss. Exactly. There is no safety net. You are not protected in any way.
And in terms of also a loss for you, the bank also, I would say.
And a loss for the bank, because at the end of the day, where do you live? How do you repay that loan? And we can use the very same example for a business. Let us suppose that you are renting or leasing or rearing pigs on a piece of property, again, that doesn't belong to you. If somebody decides, okay, I do not want you here anymore, the bank did not do due diligence, we didn't ask you for all these documents, we did not take any security, you are left out in the cold. So there is no safety net. You can't earn any money if it is that you're doing a business. If it is that you've done a mortgage, no, you have no shelter. So you are exposed. And it puts you at a disadvantage. It puts the bank at a disadvantage. And that is why security is important, and all other documents that you may be requested to provide when making a loan application.
Okay, well that's so, I get that point. I get that point there, being at a loss for the bank and you as individual. That's one of the main reasons you will say it's important for a bank to obtain the necessary security for themselves and to also protect you
and the individual.
Exactly.
And there are many other examples that we can give that can drive the point home. But again, we're pressed for time.
I'm sure.
So the first security option, believe it or not, is unsecured. And yes, I know that it's kind of an oxymoron, because security, unsecured, they are opposites. But believe it or not, it is. We do have unsecured loans. So we have an education loan that could be offered unsecured. We have a business loan that could be offered unsecured. And then we have particular amounts that can be offered unsecured for various loan products from the bank.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is the first. So this is where we do not ask you for any security or any collateral. Do remember, I think I said that before, and I'll continue to say it, every loan offering comes with their own terms and conditions. So while we offer unsecured loans for certain sectors and for certain purposes, you may not be able to get it across the board. A mortgage loan unsecured, that is almost an impossibility. I've never heard of it being done, and I don't think that it has ever been done.
Okay.
But education, yes. Business, yes.
When you say business, is there any particular type of business that you will offer an unsecured loan to?
Mind your business, yes. So our Mind Your Business loan is an unsecured option.
Okay. Yes.
Yes. The MSME Relief Fund, the 1% loan that we've spoken about before, that is part of the stimulus package from the government, there is an aspect of that you can receive unsecured, a maximum of $50,000.
Yes.
Our renewable energy and energy efficiency loan, there is an aspect of that you can receive unsecured also.
But there's still some terms and conditions that comes around with being.
There are terms, there are terms and conditions. But remember, today we're focusing on security.
Yes.
So we're not looking at the other terms and conditions. Of course, you have to meet all the other necessary terms and conditions, but we're focusing on security. So what we're saying is these particular loans, they do not have to be secured either in full or in part.
Okay.
Yes. Our work study loan, there is a portion of that you can receive unsecured, and even our special student loan, there's a clause that speaks to that also.
Okay.
So all is not lost. That's the point, Glenn.
All right. All right.
So when you hear about security, you might want to ask, okay, what exactly can I offer you, as opposed to putting up that mental block that says, oh no, I can't do this. Right.
All right.
All right. So our second security option, again, it will not stand for every single loan. There are loans that it applies to and others it doesn't, or again, the amount that you're asking for. So our second form of security is machinery and equipment. And of course, that will speak to businesses mostly, and renewable energy and energy efficiency.
Yes.
So some businesses may come in for a loan for a vehicle or a heavy machinery of sorts, a tractor, a backhoe, and a caterpillar, these kind of things. Somebody may come in for a solar water heater or solar panels. These are considered machinery and equipment. So if you are coming for loans as this sort, there is a possibility that those can be used as security.
As security. Okay. So I understand that part. So so let's just say I'm a farmer, and I'm thinking about getting some machinery, as you mentioned, maybe a tractor or something of the sort. In getting the loan from you, I could actually use that tractor as a form of security for the loan that I'm in order to purchase.
It is
to get that particular tractor purchased. Great.
It is a possibility. Yes, is a possibility.
It's a possibility.
It's a possibility. It's on our list of terms, and it's on a list of security options.
Okay.
Let us not forget also the fact of the individualism in loans. Yes, because for example, you may need to look at what's the age of that tractor.
All right.
Versus how much you're paying for it, or the loan that you're applying for.
All right. I understand. I understand that part, because it could lead back in terms of being at a loss to the bank also, if I'm saying if I'm right, because you may purchase.
And don't forget the loss to the individual. Remember some of the older vehicles. You adopt a lot of problems and headaches when you purchase the older vehicle. So you also need to look at that. Again, everything that we do, the word development is at our core.
Yes.
So even a decision to not approve a loan, the decision to add more security, the decision to get a guarantor, all of these things, it is for the development of the individual.
I understand.
And some people may look at it like, what? How can you tell me that you are not giving me a loan because it's not for my own good? Sometimes you sit and you think and you realize, but maybe I really couldn't afford that $500.
I mean, it goes back to where the individual coming for the loan have to know their level of responsibility also. I understand. Right. And I understand the bank will take into account, Glenn is coming for a loan. And I guess the necessary documents that you will ask for in terms of how am I able to repay. Would it be viable for me to pay the loan and take care of myself and even my family after? So if all these things does not add up, you will say, well, Mr. Tulsworth, I don't think you qualified.
Exactly.
You understand?
Exactly. Or maybe we may ask you to make some changes. I've known of people who had to do certain things in order to get the approval, and they did not live to regret it. Because sometimes it's some little changes that you may have to make.
Yes. You may say spend $1 less, and it may help. It may certainly help.
Then you have no idea. Not purchasing chewing gums or mints or coffee. All these little things, they add up.
It's true. It
adds up. It adds up. That I don't know how much is coffee. $5. A cup of tea, something. That $5 can go towards something else that you would need a little bit more.
In a simple way of saying it's just about reorganizing your finance in a way that will benefit you and whatever else you want to do. I agree.
Sometimes it's as simple as that.
All right. All right. All right.
So machinery and equipment, that's the second form of security option that we offer.
Mm-hmm.
The third, guarantees or guarantors. So that is a person that will sign for the loan on your behalf or the applicant's behalf.
Yes.
Yeah, so then if you're taking a loan and I have the means and you do not, I can sign for that loan on your behalf. I would be a guarantor.
Yes. That is.
So
I have always been concerned about that. Let's say per se I have come to the GDB to get a loan, and you say, well, I have someone who can guarantee that loan for me. Now I'm assuming due diligence will have to be done by the GDB pertaining to the guarantor, whoever wants to guarantee the loan for me.
Of course.
Let's suppose we always had to talk about the hindrance that could come in between there. Let's suppose I can't pay for that loan anymore for whatever reason, what becomes of me and the guarantor? Would it be a responsibility now of the guarantor that who guaranteed the loan for me? Would the responsibility come to them?
Yes, in a nutshell.
In a nutshell, they will now take the responsibility for that.
Because remember, when you secure the loan, security most times is not for a situation that happens today.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's way down in the future.
Your final month.
Because it could be 5 years, it could be 10 years, it could be 25 years that your security will actually be needed, or the bank will need to act on that. And especially at GDB, simply put, our aim is never to give you a loan and to quote unquote take it back.
Yes.
That's not our aim. So it's a situation whereby in order for the bank to call in on what was taken, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
you have to be in a position where you really can't finance the loan anymore. And I'm speaking because there are a number of things that's going to happen before we get to the security option. So, for example, you can have a conversation with your loan officer.
Yes.
You can say, okay, my salary used to be $2,000, or my business, I would bring in $2,000 at the end of the month. Unfortunately, this is not the case now. And our current climate is an excellent example of that, where your salary is probably not the same as it used to be, or probably it's non-existent. Maybe your business was closed. So this is a situation where your obligation to repay the loan has suddenly turned into an obligation of conversation. So you go in, you have a conversation with your officer. Your officer can assist in restructuring that loan. So it could be a situation where you were making a payment of $800 a month, and now you're in a situation where you can only pay 6 or 5.
What if it's zero?
That was going to be my next example.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's a situation where you need a grace period. So, can I defer on the payments for 3 months? Can I defer on the payments? It's a conversation that you can have.
Okay.
And that's where the individual comes in when we're dealing with loans. And I keep saying that. So your situation is different from mine, Glenn. I may not be working, but I may have a side hustle, or my husband is working, or I'm getting help from someplace else and I can pay that loan. For you, it may be something different. So our conversation may be different. Or probably one of us will have a conversation and the other one wouldn't, because we are in 2 different situations.
That's understandable. So in a nutshell, security is important for the bank and for you as an individual who wants a loan. Security is important. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. All
that
right.
is it in a nutshell.
All right.
Yes, that's it in a nutshell. So we'll move on to the other type of security. I'm checking on the clock. We have mortgage or property. So that is land, a house, if you have that, an apartment or whatnot. So usually the applicants for our mortgage loans or the beneficiary of our mortgage loans would use the land or the house that is being mortgaged as the security.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that's where you hear people say things like, oh, the house is not mine, it's the bank's.
You know, I
So you've heard it before.
I have heard it. It's not my house, it's the bank's
Right.
house. Yeah, understand.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because it's the security that was used. So unless you are finished with your mortgage payments, which sometimes would take 25 years, 30 years, depending, then that will be your security.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so you see there are options.
There are options. There are options. So in a nutshell, I mean, I am assuming there are more options that the bank will go at in terms of security. There's tons of it. And you say we strap for time in terms of going through all of the options that they could possibly be. You understand? I mean, you stressed on three of the most important ones per se for now.
And my list is so much longer.
It's much longer. I'm getting that just as you go along, that the list could be longer because there's so much more that the bank could go at in terms of saying, let's do this, let's do that, in terms of you securing your loan. You understand? Because in a nutshell, it goes back to how it benefits you and the bank. You understand? I get that. I get that a whole lot.
Very much so.
All right.
Very much so. So this is, like I said, we spoke about four, Glenn, unsecured mortgages or property. We spoke about machinery and equipment, and we spoke about guarantors. There are options that we do not have the time for this morning. But before I go, I would like to remind the public about the COVID protocols being in effect at our institution. Presently, we are only allowing 3 people inside the bank at any one point, and only walk-ins are only allowed for payments only.
Yes.
If you're seeking information on a loan or any other thing, any other product or service that is offered by Grenada Development Bank, we are asking you to call us, use our Facebook page, use our WhatsApp, and our telephone number is 405-3242 for WhatsApp or cell phone. Our office landline is 440-2382. If you need to come in, your officer can make an appointment with you, and she'll let you know when it's a good time to come in, because as much as possible, we are trying to limit, as everybody else, limit the social or limit the distance and the physical interactions. Yes. As of this week, due to the change in the COVID-19 regulations, we will be back to normal operating procedures. We will now be open at 8:30 to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday.
All right. All right. Giselle, I want to thank you, Chriselle, I want to thank you very much for sharing the info this morning. Certainly learned a lot. I know the viewing and listening audience of it, they have certainly done a lot in terms of securities. If they had any misconceptions about it, I'm sure that may have been cleared up. As you said, there's loads more you could have given in terms of, other security option that's available that the bank will accept or not accept. You understand? And we want to thank you a whole lot. So until next week, I'm not sure you may have me next week. I'm not sure you may have me next week.
That's too bad.
Giselle, have yourself a lovely day, you folks.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure.
Well, the pleasure is mine also to have you, my dear. Have a good one. Well, let me say thank you to the, of course, the GB once again. Thanks you once again, our viewing and listeners, those you viewing via, of course, GBN TV. I want to thank you very much for taking the time out. Those of you who are listening via K105, thank you a whole lot also for listening, and thanks again. Hey, folks, it's the mid-morning buzz here on K105, G2 Radio, folks, and I'll be around with you until it's 1 p.m. today.
sneezes spread diseases. So cover coughs and sneezes, please. Not with a rag or bandana. They trap germs. When you use the rag again, you put germs on your hands and everything else you touch. When you cough or sneeze, cover your mouth and nose with tissue. Throw the tissue in a bin and wash your hands afterwards. If you don't have a tissue, cough into your sleeve or elbow. Alcohol-based hand sanitizers are also effective in cleaning hands.
This is a message from the Ministry of Health. If you or a family member suspect that you may have contracted COVID-19 and are displaying symptoms, please immediately self-isolate at home. This means that you must also avoid all contact with other members of your household. Do not visit hospitals or health centers, as this creates the potential for further spread of the virus, and it puts additional persons at risk when you come into contact with them. Your best course of action is to call the COVID-19 hotline at 458-4787 or 538-4787, or contact your nearest health center or medical station. Once your information has been received, health officials will come to you. Help prevent the spread of COVID-19. This has been a message from the Ministry of Health. Disaster Management Agency, NADMA, reminds the general public to always be prepared. Make sure you have emergency supplies stocked away just in case. Here is a list to help you and your family. At least 1 gallon of water daily per person for 7 to 10 days. Enough food for at least 3 to 7 days. Non-perishable packaged or canned food and juices. Special items and food for babies and the elderly. Non-electric can opener. Cooking tools and fuel. Paper plates, plastic utensils, paper cups, trash bags and duct tape useful for cleanup or patching leaks in an emergency, blankets, pillows, first aid kit, medicines, prescription drugs, toiletries, hygiene items, moisture wipes, tarpaulin to cover holes if needed.
Mine on the first name basis. Good morning, how you doing?
Hey, good morning. No, Joel is fine. That's my name.
Yes.
Yes, I'm doing fine. I hope everyone is fine also. All viewers, those in Radio Land, wherever you're viewing from, I hope you're doing fine on this Thursday morning.
All right. So, Joel, how was things down at is it NADO, right? I hope I'm getting the information right. I kind of a little skeptical of the information this morning, lack of it a little bit. So
yes,
tell us something about your organization and what it's all about.
Organization means National Anti-Doping Organization. So I represent Grenada NADO. We are the local body and we fall under the umbrella of Caribbean RADO, which is Caribbean Regional Anti-Doping Organization. And then we fall under the World Anti-Doping Agency, which is WADA, which is responsible for testing athletes and also educating our athletes of the right substances that they should use and what they shouldn't use also. So we are just representing, we're volunteers representing the Grenada branch, of which I'm a part of the team in Grenada here.
All right. Now, you're part of the anti-doping team in Grenada, as you mentioned. How does this body function in Grenada? How does things go about for you folks?
Very good. So we are somewhat independent, but yet still connected. So we are connected to the Olympic Committee, of course, and we fall under the auspices of the Ministry of Sports. However, we are independent to the sense that means that we do not get instructions from the Olympic Committee or Ministry of Sports to let us know who we should test and who we shouldn't test. So they don't control that aspect of how we function. But of course, they sign on to our agreements that we have with the World Anti-Doping Agency. But we function as a separate body. Like I said, we are a group of volunteers. And from time to time, we do education for our athletes and coaches. And we test our athletes for prohibited substances, especially it can be in competition and also out of competition.
Now, let's say your organization decides, well, how do your organization decide to go about and test particular athletes? What are the reasons for, if maybe for individual? I may have a clue of reasons why, but let's say for listeners, viewers out there who may be a little bit skeptical, the skepticism that comes about in testing you for whatever reason.
Of course.
For whatever reason, people get skeptical about being tested. How does the organization go about, contacting an individual or just making the arrangement to have an individual tested? Or do you do it individual-wise, or is it the individuals are part of a particular club or group that you go to, or is it just feed us some information on that?
All right, so every country, and that's almost every country in the world, once we pass a WADA, we have what we call a RTP, which is a registered testing pool. So it's like a pool of athletes that every country has access to. So different sports organizations will let us know who are their athletes, especially if you're an elite athlete, you're obviously going to be part of that testing pool. And once you are an athlete, then that means at any given time, you could be selected for testing. Most times it's done randomly. In the past, in Grenada, most of our tests has been done, whether it's in competition tests, so there's an event at the National Stadium or somewhere, and the games organizers, they're going to say to us, they're going to send us instructions. They're not going to tell us who to test, but on the mission order, that's a legal document that we're going to get. That document will tell us, okay, so for this event, for the female 100-meter finals, we're going to be testing the top 3 positions. So whoever comes first, second, or third, they will be tested. So sometimes the instructions come like that. There are sometimes the instructions come with a specific name, and that name could have been selected maybe by the sporting organization. It could be from some tests or something that was done, or it could be that particular athlete would have participated in an international event, and the games organizers just think that they need to test that particular athlete. So sometimes it's done like that, and we get specific names. What we want to encourage here, even in Grenada, we want to encourage our sporting organizations to please just try to encourage more testing. And you yourself, so for example, you might represent the Basketball Association. You could just select some of your top 3 basketball players, or you could say, okay, guys, we want some of our athletes to be tested. It may not mean that you think they are taking substances, but it might just mean that you want to expose your athletes to the process and to be educated about the process. So in the event that they represent Grenada internationally, they wouldn't be too surprised with the process and the procedure for testing, because the testing procedures are the same wherever you go in the world. We follow the international standards for testing, and we have a team of highly skilled and trained doping control officers who are quite capable to do testing here in Grenada. So we're encouraging the sporting organizations. So don't just wait until there's a special event or the World Anti-Doping Agency sponsors some free testing, and which is what we call out-of-competition testing. But your organization itself, you can put it in your budget, and you can say, okay, guys, this year, we are going to try to have at least 4 of our athletes tested, whether it is in netball, in cricket, and basketball, in judo, in taekwondo, whatever sporting event. We are encouraging the sporting organizations to try to budget to try to have some of their athletes tested. So these are some of the main ways in which they are tested. So we don't just wake up this morning and say, okay, we are going to test Mr. Kado, or we're going to test this person. It's not like that.
Okay. Now, when you go about the testing, what type of testing do you are you testing for? Let's say someone recommends that someone be tested, or an individual, or a particular group of individuals be tested. What are the type of tests that you folks do?
So Sorry, go ahead. You want to finish the question?
No, I was saying, what type of tests do you all do on individuals who are being sanctioned for tested? You understand? So you said some individual may come in the top 3, or for some reason there may be a level of skepticism about their performance or something on the reason. Something have to trigger it, I would say, right? Something has to trigger the individual being sanctioned for testing. Now, what are the type of tests that you do?
All right, good. So we do 2 main types of tests that's under the World Anti-Doping Agency. It could either be blood or it could be urine. In Grenada, we are still currently doing urine testing. So it's just a standard test. We sometimes say pee in a cup. That's simple. There's a procedure and a protocol behind how it is done. But basically, yes, we do collect urine samples from the athletes, and then those samples are sent to the labs. So when it goes to the labs, that same urine, that one vial of urine, is being tested for many different things. So it's going to be too much for me to list.
I understand that.
But we basically take the urine and they test the urine for many different substances. So we take for anabolic steroids, growth hormones, TDP, many different things. And once those things come up, then that athlete could possibly be sanctioned based on the substances that we find in their body. So we always encourage our athletes to remember, athletes, you are responsible for what you put into your bodies. So be very careful with the things that you drink, even with the things that you eat, even where you eat and where you drink, even who gives you drinks. We always encourage our athletes, especially when you're representing Grenada internationally, don't just go to a bar or any bar and just take a drink from someone. They might be trying to tarnish your reputation, and maybe Grenada is a small island.
Yes.
You're not sure what their intention is. So we always study, even if you're drinking water, ensure that the bottle is sealed, it's not tampered with, and be very careful and be vigilant. And there are even some over-the-counter drinks that you need to be careful with. If you take it in too much large quantities, it could also affect your test outcomes. So you need to be very careful with that. Read your labels. And this is why Grenada NADO, we've been doing these educational sessions, just trying to educate our athletes as to what they should and what they shouldn't use. There's a prohibited list of substances that's released every year. You can find it on the WADA website, World Anti-Doping Agency. So at least you could go there and check it out. If you find it's too much for you to do, then stick close to your doctor, stick close to your representative. I know most sporting organizations, they have a doctor with them. So you could task that doctor to understand and remove the prohibited substances. So if you're in doubt about something, call the physician, call the doctor, say, hey doc, I'm a bodybuilder and I want to take this substance to help me. Can you check it out for me to ensure that the substance is prohibited or it's not prohibited? So before you take these substances, please check, especially new drugs or new supplements, especially coming on stream. Please check them before you just ingest it. And not all the time just for testing procedure, also for your general health. Don't just take anything. It's always good to do the research. I mean, right now with COVID, I see we have a lot of persons doing their own research, what they put into their bodies.
All the butch doctors do, right?
Athletes. Athletes and doctors. So the same thing should go for our athletes, coaches, and even athletes' parents. Parents, you have your children coming up and they're bright athletes. Don't just give them anything. Don't just, somebody tell you, hey, your son does run good. Take this bush, give him this bush, you go help him.
I know.
You need to be careful.
I understand that. I understand that.
For your son or daughter's general health, and also making sure that they keep it with the international standards, that they're following the right procedure.
All right. Joel, I want to thank you for popping by this morning and sharing the information that you did. It was definitely fruitful information. I know the viewing and listening public of they probably absorb a lot, because a lot of folks may not have even known this organization exists. You understand?
Yes.
A lot of folks may not have even known that it exists in Grenada per se. You understand? I guess we hear about the International Doping Organization and stuff like that, but sometimes we may have limited information that it actually do exist here in Grenada. You understand? Because, to be honest, it's like the first time I ever knew myself. I knew that it exists in Grenada. You understand?
Wow, so we need to do some more promotion. But you can check us out. We do have a Facebook page. It's pretty active now, so you can check us out, Grenada NADO. We have a Facebook page, and we try to post relevant content there from time to time. So you can check us out on Facebook. Even the Caribbean Rado, we have a Facebook page also.
Okay.
And actually, now is a good time that we're speaking about this, because if there are persons who are interested in being a volunteer, you could be a doping control officer or a chaperone. Yeah, feel free. Check us out on our Facebook page. You can send us a message. and we will let you know when we have meetings. You could come to one meeting, and if you're interested, you could join. You could be a volunteer.
All right. Interesting. Joel, thank you once again, and I hope we get to speak more about this, come and share more information to the viewing and listening public here, and thank you once again.
It's my pleasure. Thank you also. And to your viewers, have a wonderful day. Stay tuned and listen to some good stations.
Yeah.
Music.
All right, man. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, that was Joel this morning, of course, from Anado, sharing information pertaining to that they do offer in terms of the different tests and so forth. And I hope the information was fruitful. Want to thank you folks who are locked on via GBN TV and those of you who listen to K105. It's the mid-morning buzz. We're moving up to exactly 15 minutes before the top of the hour, reminding you at the top 12. We have for you the midday news. Stick around for that. More music here on K105 GT with you this morning, folks. Have yourself a lovely day and stay with K105. Let's continue the music.